The UFC is planning a historic event at the White House, but at the same time, Jake Paul is building a Netflix supercard with stars like Ronda Rousey, Nate Diaz, Mike Perry, and Francis Ngannou. This isn't just two events, it's a battle of the future of combat sports. It's your boy, We Fight All Night, and I am back with another episode of the MMA and boxing show, and we gonna do what we usually do. Skip the intro, let's get straight to the info. If you're a fight fan, you're witnessing something crazy right now, cause on one side you have the UFC, who's making a historical Whitehouse card featuring elite fighters like Alex Pereira, Sean O'Malley, Ilia Topuria. And on the other side, you have Jake Paul and MVP Promotions bringing back stars like Ronda Rousey, Francis Ngannou, Nate Diaz, Mike Perry, and they are collaborating with Netflix, which the card is already going to have mass appeal. This is really huge for the MMA community. Two completely different worlds are about to collide. So first off, let's go ahead and break down the UFC Whitehouse card. All right, so this could actually be one of the biggest events in sports history. Never has a sport ever competed on the lawn of the White House, and hey man, these guys they're going out there to make history, and I'm glad that I can say I am a fan of mixed martial arts. All right, so let's start off with the UFC White House. The UFC White House can actually be monumental, not only in the world of MMA, but in the world of sports itself. Like, no other sport has ever competed on the lawn of the White House, and I'm pretty sure as an athlete and as an American, this is one of the top honors that you could actually get as a competitor in the sport of in your respective sport, let's just say that. But here in MMA, it's relatively new, and a lot of these top athletes may have not been getting a lot of the praise that they actually need, and this could be that very type of praise to put them over the heap and make them megastars. Now, when we talk about the UFC White House, this isn't just a one-off event. This is the UFC bringing their actual show to the White House. Now, I know a lot of people gave the UFC a lot of backlash. Even myself, I have my own video where I didn't agree with the selections of the UFC White House card, but at the end of the day, we still got superstars on the card. We just didn't get the quote-unquote best card ever, which they said it would have been to start off, but that's neither here or there. That's for another video. But that does mean the UFC is bringing their top stars no matter what people think. We have the likes of Ilia Topuria, who will be in a title unification bout against Justin Gaethje. And we also have Alex Pereira moving up to his third weight class to try and capture a third title to become the first ever 3-division UFC champion. All of this is monumental in it of itself, and we've got to give these guys more praise for these exciting fights that they're putting on. We know when we get UFC, when we get MMA, more times than none, we're gonna get a legitimate ranking system where the best fight the best. I mean, you might not agree with all of the rankings, but hey, you win some fights, you move up the rankings. You lose some fights, you move down the rankings. Another thing is Alex Pereira, one of the biggest stars in the UFC, just signed a huge 8-fight contract with the UFC, being that he is now in the heavyweight division. We know the current UFC heavyweight champion is Tom Aspinall, but as he's dealing with his quote-unquote eye surgery, we've got to wait for him to sort all of that out. But Alex Pereira going up to the heavyweight division to capture the interim belt, fighting Cyril Gane, which we know the next fight guaranteed will be Tom Aspinall, has a chance to shape the heavyweight landscape for the next few years as we know it. These are the implications that we are getting for fights in the UFC Whitehouse. So just to be clear, just because a lot of people were not happy with some of those selections, these fights have huge implications on them, and we've got to treat them as so. But in my opinion, who I think will actually be the real main event of this MVP card on Netflix is none other than Adriano Moraes, who actually has a win over the legend, the GOAT, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, and he will be going up against Mohamed Mokaev, who was undefeated in the UFC before he left the UFC due to contract issues. He didn't leave the UFC because he went on some run of 3 to 4 losses in a row and was getting knocked out. He left due to contract issues. So this fight right here will be the highest level of MMA you are going to see on the card. Remember, you heard it here first. Remember to tap in to Adriano Moraes versus Mohamed Mokaev. But that's the thing with this card right here. It's basically a one-off card, meaning that there's no ranking systems that this MVP promotion is working with. There's no titles, there's no path after, there's no, hey, let me rank you in this, or let me set you up with this fighter next. This is just a one-off show for MVP promotions. Maybe they might indulge in more into MMA and start to do more shows, but even so, they don't have a roster yet to justify all of these major signings for the amount of money that's being speculated to be thrown around. I know Nate Diaz isn't cheap. We all know Francis Ngannou isn't cheap. We all know Mike Perry at this point, after his rise in BKFC, we know he is not cheap. We know Gina Carano can't be cheap. They brought her, they basically resurrected Gina Carano. If anybody doesn't know who Gina Carano is, well, back in the day, there used to be a show called American Gladiators. Do your research, Google's your best friend. But there used to be a show called American Gladiators, and Gina Carano was actually one of the stars on American Gladiators. She then transitioned over into a career of MMA, and let's just say Gina Carano was the Ronda Rousey before Ronda Rousey. But once Ronda Rousey hit the scene, it seemed like no other woman in women's MMA even mattered. The only thing is that we never got to see the highly anticipated matchup between Gina Carano and Ronda Rousey. I mean, in a smaller landscape, you could almost look at it as the woman Pacquiao versus the woman Mayweather. In a sense. Let's not destroy me. I'm not literally speaking, I'm figuratively speaking. I'm trying to build you guys an analogy, you know? So don't kill me in the comments for that. All right? I know Ronda Rousey is not Manny Pacquiao or Floyd Mayweather, all right? All right, come on. With all that being said, when you bring Netflix into the picture, you can guarantee automatically you're going to have plus 1 million viewers watching your fights. So, I mean, it seems like they are actually trying to put on a legitimately great show. So I have nothing bad to really say about MVP and MVP Promotions putting on this fantastic show. I'm looking forward to watching it. But when we compare this, let's just call it MMA, real MMA versus entertainment. Let's compare Terrence Bud Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. Let's compare that fight to the likes of a Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson. You know, that Jake Paul Nate Robinson fight had zero implications. There was nothing, it had nothing to do with, you know, ranking you in the professional world, putting you on track in the professional world to go and get a title. You know, it had nothing to do with that. It was all about building a brand and building a name. And I mean, hey, Jake Paul built a huge name doing this, so we can't knock. But as a purist of the sport, it's really not something that you commonly want to see. I mean, one-off fights, spectacle fights, they're cool every once in a while, but this is not what you want to see on the normal basis. It's really gonna confuse the normal fans who actually don't tune into the UFC every week or every other week. The normal fans are going to tune into this Netflix show and they're going to think that this is what the UFC has to offer. They'll say, hey, a lot of these fighters used to fight on the UFC. This card should be just as good. In my opinion, I really don't think the card will live up to its hype. Like I told you guys, my main event for this card will be Adriano Moraes versus Muhammad Mokaev. So there's still one big question remaining. Being that we pretty much are nearing the end or possibly already at the end of the pay-per-view era, go get your Paramount subscription. It's $2.99 up until March 31st. Shameless plugin. We start to ask ourselves, is this the direction that combat sports is going into? Not only MMA, also boxing. Boxing probably a lot more so in the recent years have been putting on these spectacle fights. But is this the direction? Because, I mean, we could call them spectacle fights all we want. You know, I don't know, some other people call them freak shows. Call it whatever you want. But you guys know what it is. These aren't the quote-unquote best fighters in the world who's been mixing it up with the other best fighters in the world. These are a lot of fighters who are at the very end of their career, but still seem to have a semi-decent name. It seems like a lot of the casual fans, a lot of the casual audience like to buy into this type of thing. So is this the direction that MMA and boxing are headed into? I would like to know. Drop your comments down below. Is this something that you agree with? Is this something that you would like to see a lot more of? Let me know. I don't know what's the thing. Right now, I'm neutral. I'm team UFC, team Zoo for always. But as far as wanting to see all of these spectacle fights, right now, I'm neutral. Right now, I'm neutral, guys. I love the Mayweather-McGregor. I loved it. I loved Francis Ngannou, Tyson Fury. I loved it. Is this the route that combat sports is going? Is this going to be the thing that saves combat sports? I don't know. I need to know what the people think. And that is it. It's been another episode of the MMA and boxing show. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Make sure you guys drop those comments down below. Let me know what you guys been thinking about everything that's been going on in the MMA and boxing community. Make sure you guys hit that hype. Make sure you guys join the Discord. We got a Discord. Come join the community. You know, none of this stuff that we have going on over here at We Fight All Night, none of it could be possible without you.